Hi, Sarah here. Welcome back. I was working on this vest in my last chatty update video, and here it is complete. Woo! In this video, I'm going to share 4 Beyond the Veil themed tarot prompts and readings. I initially developed this set of tarot prompts for a tarot event that was happening in the Witchy Discord server that I'm in. And people loved it so much, I also wanted to share these prompts that I developed over here on YouTube as well. Each prompt or theme has some discussion questions. We also have one reading based around one particular major arcana, and we also have a joke reading. I developed these prompts and readings to be as beginner-friendly and as open-ended as I could think of. So I encourage you to give these a try, even if you don't really believe in these things, even if you consider yourself a bit skeptical. I'm also a skeptical witch, a skeptical tarot reader. I don't really consider myself spiritually or psychically inclined, but I did still find a lot of value and a lot of fun and insight from these readings. And considering that the witchy server I posted this in are also skeptical witches like I am, they also found a lot of fun. So I think that anyone of any background, any tarot knowledge could give these spreads and readings a try. If you end up doing any of these spreads or readings, whether on camera or just in the comments or just to yourself, I'd love to hear about your experience, if there was any that really resonated with you the most or really clicked with you, or if there were any that you found particularly interesting. Without further ado, here are the prompts. So the first Beyond the Veil type of prompt is Signs and Omens. So the focus card for this reading is the High Priestess. The High Priestess was a card that I initially didn't really understand. It took me a while to understand what the High Priestess really means, in my own opinion, in my own worldview. A common definition or idea that is thrown around about the High Priestess is intuition. Just follow your intuition. But as someone who is skeptical and, again, not really spiritually or psychically inclined, I always wondered, what exactly does intuition mean or feel like? The older I've gotten, the more I've done readings and just gotten more life experience, the more I kind of understand the theme of the High Priestess is sometimes you're just not allowed to know things until a certain point. Or just until never, really. For example, I remember when people would tell me, oh, you'll understand when you leave high school, or you'll understand when you get your first job, you'll understand when you have kids of your own. And that felt really frustrating to me. Like, don't patronize me. Like, I totally know a lot of things and I understand a lot of things right now. Again, now I kind of understand better. The High Priestess energy accepts that we might not understand those things, especially if we haven't gone through them firsthand. And or if we just don't have the personality or the mindset to be able to understand those things. I'm never going to understand quantum physics, for example, or advanced physics or any sort of physics, really. I don't have to feel bad about not knowing or not understanding those things. And same goes with a lot of life experiences and just things that we might not understand until later in life. You know, how many times have we looked back on our teenage years or our younger years and be like, wow, I finally understand. It took me 10 years, but I finally understand what I was going through 10 years ago. You know, but 10 years ago, we thought we knew everything. I mean, I thought I knew everything. So that's kind of what the High Priestess energy represents to me and why I chose the High Priestess for the Signs and Omens prompt. Sometimes we have to be okay with not knowing things, and sometimes we have to be okay with receiving information, being open to things, even if it's a bit abstract, even if we just don't understand it right now. Sometimes the knowing or the understanding will come with time. So what we're going to do for the High Priestess reading, or for the Signs and Omens reading, we're going to take our deck, we're going to shuffle our deck. This reading is about looking for signs from the universe. So imagine, what is the universe trying to tell us? What mysterious sign is the universe trying to send our way? So shuffle the deck and then look for the High Priestess in the deck. Aha, found it. So we're going to take the card before and after the High Priestess. And you could just pull the High Priestess and then pull 2 random cards, but you know, it's kind of a fun way to look in the deck, do this reading a little bit differently. The card before the High Priestess represents the mysterious sign from the universe. And the card after the High Priestess shows what you need to do with this sign or this information. So the mysterious sign the universe is showing me is these 5 wands illuminating the sky, fighting each other. What I need to do with this information is the world. What does this mean? Taking this card as literally as I can to show you an example reading, the 5 of Wands, if I saw 5 wands fighting in the sky, there's a lot of smoke here. I almost see this as a cosmic reminder that conflict is universal. Even the gods, the spirits, aren't always in alignment with each other. What I need to do with this information, I wonder, oh, interesting. So with the world, what I need to do with the information, with the sign that conflict is universal, I guess the world reminds me to look at things overarching, to look at my life journey in an overarching manner instead of the little conflicts bit by bit. Life is all about conflicts. I know that there is no such thing as an easy life or a conflict-free life. The reminder is not to seek out conflict, but I think maybe the reminder here is to be okay with allowing conflict to happen. Maybe it's not always my problem or my responsibility to solve it. It's okay to just allow it to be. So that's a surface level example reading with the High Priestess based on signs. Now, the joke reading for the prompt Signs and Omens. So if you've seen that meme of that guy looking at a butterfly and he says, "Is this a pigeon?" when clearly it's not a pigeon, it's a freaking butterfly. That's what this prompt or this spread is based around. I don't take credit for this. I just found it on this website that I will put in the description. The joke reading, basically, we've got one card represents you, one card represents your perception, one card represents the truth of your situation. So what is the truth of it and what do you actually think it is? For the first card, since it represents me, you could choose to pull any random card. You could choose to put the High Priestess here. You could also just choose to put your own significator card, a card that personally represents you in this first position. Second card is my perceptions. Third card is the truth of my situation. Let's see, what is it that I'm misunderstanding? Justice and the devil. Ooh, interesting. I don't know what it means yet, but it's interesting, right? Is this a butterfly? Is this justice? No, it's actually the devil. Okay, there's a very potent, in this example reading here, there's a very strong like social justice type of energy or reading here. It's like, I see bad things happening. I see people falling into maybe traps, for example. And my first thought might be, is this what they deserve? Is this karma? So, oh yeah, this definitely could be a reminder that if I see people, I guess, falling off their path, or if I see people doing things that I wouldn't do, kind of find myself judging people for doing things that I wouldn't do. You know, I think a common mind trap that I might fall in is to think that they're getting what they deserve, or be like, oh, you deserved it. That's the consequences of your actions. So I think that is definitely a perception that can be challenged, you know? Bad things don't happen to people all the time because they deserve it, really. Sometimes things just happen. So yeah, that's a simple little example reading there using this meme spread. So that's the Signs and Omens prompt. The next prompt is Multiverse Selves, Parallel Universe Selves. So for this prompt, I was heavily inspired by the Spider-Verse movies, which I love, and also the Everything Everywhere All at Once movie, which I really, really love. I've seen that movie quite a few times and I've shown it to so many friends. I actually didn't understand or see the appeal much of multiverse theories or multiverse media or multiverse ideas until I watched these movies, and now I understand it so much better. The reason I chose the devil to represent the multiverse, this parallel universe, is because in at least these two media that I've mentioned, Spider-Verse and Everything Everywhere, especially in Everything Everywhere, one of the themes there is that the character sees how good someone else's life seems to be. And it seems like, you know, this person, the multiverse self has a lot of the same struggles or the same personality that we have in this universe. But somehow in that parallel universe, they somehow seem to have better things, more desirable things. The grass is greener on the other side, basically, which I feel like just feels even more potent or more interesting to think about if the other side, that other person, that other personality is basically a multiverse version of ourselves. So for example, like in Everything Everywhere, the character sees a multiverse self of hers literally being a movie star, being successful and famous. And so of course, it seems so much more glamorous and desirable than running a laundromat. So that's why I chose the devil, because it definitely represents the energy of exploring temptation, of seeing, acknowledging temptation. Temptation is the whole theme of parallel universes, seeing what could happen, what could be. For this reading, I'm choosing the Curious Creatures Tarot because I like to imagine a parallel universe in which all of us have animal heads on human bodies. Makes me wonder what animal I would be. So shuffle our deck and look for the devil in the deck. Aha, found it. All right, so just like before, we're going to grab the card before and the card after the devil. So The card before the Devil represents if I only had this. This is something that you're pining for that an alternate self has. And the card after represents insight into why you're pining after this. Do you think the grass is greener over there in that other universe? With this reading and with this card with the spread, I want to mention that it is okay to want or to wish for things. This doesn't have to be a nudge for you to just be grateful for what you have if you don't actually feel grateful. This can just serve as neutral insight for you. So let's see. Peeping into this alternate universe where Sarah is an animal body, animal head on a human body. Let's look at this Devil card real quick too. Oh, interesting. Just a couple of cages here, but people are out. People's doors are open. Okay, so card before, if I only had this, something I'm pining for. Card after is why I'm pining after this. So surface level, to give an example reading here, it feels like this person is crafting very hard. I see this pincushion and it makes me think of crafting. So it makes me think, the first thing that comes to mind is like doing what you love, making a career out of what you love, being able to make money off of something that you really enjoy doing and really are really knowledgeable in. Why I'm pining after this, the Chariot. Perhaps I feel like there's kind of a lack of direction in my life right now. This is definitely relatable because in my career, I work in entertainment and it's definitely a little bit slow right now because of strikes and the changing industry demand and things like that. So I don't feel like in my main career, I'm progressing skill-wise or network-wise or anything much right now. So I could definitely see why I might be pining after this alternate universe life where it seems to be like, oh, you're making a lot of money doing what you love. I wish I was making a lot of money. So that's an example reading with the Devil in the multiverse. Now for the joke reading. So I've chosen to grab the Spider-Man pointing at each other meme. I think it's so funny and I think it perfectly represents the energy that I'm bringing to this joke reading for this multiverse reading. We got this meme of two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. Card number one, Spider-Man number one, is something you wish for that your multiverse self has. Card number two is the other Spider-Man, something that multiverse self wants from you. So what do I want from someone else? What do I want from that other Sarah, the Ace of Swords? What does that other Sarah want from me, the Knight of Wands? What do I want from that other Sarah? Maybe that other Sarah just is smarter, has a lot of like cool, fresh ideas, and maybe I feel like I'm not having enough cool, fresh ideas here. The Knight of Wands. Oh, interesting. So what's cool about this spread is noticing the differences between these two cards. Swords and Wands can be very similar, but you can still do a lot of contrasts between these two cards. Even though maybe I'm envying or pining after having like a lot of cool ideas. Yeah, just having a lot of cool new ideas from that other Sarah. Maybe what that other Sarah envies from me is the courage or the guts to just get started, to just go after what I want. Like the Knight of Wands is a very like go-getter kind of energy, you know? It's kind of nice to acknowledge like, yeah, maybe I am exemplifying this go-getter Knight of Wands energy. So that's the joke reading number one. The other joke reading is this spread, but a lot more expanded. So let's see, in the middle, we're going to put the Devil card just to be like the instigator in the middle here. And for the second spread, we've got this meme of a lot of Spider-Mans pointing at each other. So it's multiverse upon multiverse upon multiverse. Even though this image has 7 Spider-Mans, I'm just going to do 6 cards for symmetry's sake. So let's see. Every single Spider-Man, every single card in the spread is just representing what a different alternate universe self feels like they're missing in their life. So what's cool about this spread and what's cool about, this prompt, this reading, is that it just gives a lot of creative freedom. Yeah, there's no way for us to really get in touch with these multiverse selves, but this is a great creative reading type of exercise. So let's see what all these different universe Sarahs, what these what ifs are all doing out there. 7 of Swords. This Sarah is trying to get away with something. This Sarah maybe wishes she could speak her mind. Maybe this Sarah just wants to feel a bit in power about something. This Sarah, Page of Wands, wants to be able to explore some more, wants to play around some more. This Sarah with the King of Wands, she wants to be some sort of leader. She wants to really use her voice and use her energy and command something. This Sarah wishes she had more options to actually consider. Maybe she feels a bit stuck or a bit limited in her options. This Sarah wishes she has someone to flirt with and have a nice drink with. Also someone to have cute matching outfits with. and Two of Swords. Maybe the Sarah has a lot going on in her life or in her mind that she feels overwhelmed, and she wishes she could just sit down and like blindfold herself to all of it and just stop trying to feel overwhelmed. So that's my my haphazard multiverse reading with the Devil card. The third prompt here is remembering our ancestors. So I chose the Star card as the focus card for this reading and this prompt. This was inspired by Anna at Astro Lady Tarot. I watched a video of hers last month where she explains epiphanies that she had about the Star card. She was explaining how the Star card relates to the Tower, since the Star, comes after the Tower in the Major Arcana of the Tarot. One thing that I remember her saying was that when the people are falling from the Tower, what happens in the next card? Where do the people go? And her answer, her theory, is that the people become the water. So they're like flowing, becoming consciousness again. And that explanation, that theory makes so much sense to me. After a really difficult event, or even during or through difficult events, when we're getting broken down, when we have to unlearn the things that we learned before, and we have to change and set new foundations for ourselves, we just become consciousness. We start to decide how we want to move forward and how we want to move in the world. Anyway, I will link Anna's video down below in the description because she explains it a lot better than I can. So I chose this card to represent the ancestors prompt because there's just a feeling of, I don't know, timelessness, and again, just consciousness. Like, even though I don't have a lot of connection with my own ancestors, I barely even have connection with my own grandparents. I do envy other people that have connection with their grandparents and with a lot of their extended family. This card spoke a lot to me in the themes of carrying forth the legacy that our ancestors left for us, and also wanting to set better foundations and flow for our descendants in the future. If you're having trouble conceptualizing your own ancestors by family, kind of like I do, you can also choose to imagine one particular ancestor, a singular person. It could even just be your own parent, really, your own guardian. You can also choose to imagine ancestors not just by blood, but also ancestors by heritage. So maybe for me, I want to imagine the Vietnamese people as a whole, or Chinese people as a whole, since I have Chinese roots, or even Asian people as a whole. And even if you're disconnected with your heritage or your history or your blood, you can even choose to look at ancestors of your country, the country that you're currently living in, or even just ancestors of our humankind overall. Have some creative freedom with this prompt, however it works for you. So the Star, we're going to shuffle our deck, and we're going to look for the Star in the deck. Found it. All right. So like before, we're going to take the card before and the card after the Star. This is the Dream Vision Tarot. Oh, look how beautiful the Star is. I really love how open these hands are. The water is just flowing through. Time, our consciousness, everything is just flowing through. So the card before the Star represents a hope that your ancestor had for their future descendants, or maybe a foundation that they laid out. And the card after represents a hope that you have for your future descendants, or perhaps a foundation that you're laying out. So card before is from our ancestors, and the card after is to our descendants. In the sample reading here, from my ancestors, the Six of Pentacles, to my descendants, what I hope for my descendants is the Ace of Swords. Oh, interesting. I just noticed that there are two people here kind of outstretching their hands. Maybe a hope, or a foundation really, is being more generous with what you have. So maybe the ancestors longer ago just hoped that we can understand the importance and the value of community and share what we have instead of holding it to ourselves and trying to use it to illuminate ourselves and make ourselves feel better. Now, what I hope for my descendants, what I want to hope for is that it's not ever too late to learn new things. It's not ever too late to have new ideas. I especially see this with, my own parents. My dad, after stuff going down last year and stuff, I feel like he has changed into a much different person. A lot of his core personality is still the same, but he has been more open in ways that I never expected growing up. So he's having these new ideas, and because of these new ideas, these new things that he's exploring and thinking about, we are connecting differently as people now as adults than we did before last year, or even when I was younger too. So that's a hope that I would want my future descendants to know too, that it's never too late for new ideas. It's never too late to keep, just keep sharpening your brain, keep thinking of new things, and keep staying on your toes, So that's a reading with the star card. And the meme reading, the joke reading that I found, it was pretty hard finding memes and comics and images about ancestors or about the founding fathers, the ancestors of America. But I found this one pretty funny. So the meme that I found here is a Tumblr post that says, George Washington done with your attitude. So the card 1, we've got George Washington looking super done. This is what your ancestors expected of you. Card 2 is some dude looking back at them, just looking pretty defiant. So this card is how you're disgracing your ancestors. And the third card, the like bystander, is the resolution, middle ground, or takeaway. And this is meant to be a joke reading, you know, it's meant to be lighthearted. If you get insight out of it, that's cool, but it's also just meant to be for fun, right? Tongue in cheek. Let's see, what my ancestors expected. The 8 of Wands. How I'm disgracing them. The 5 of Wands. What is the takeaway here? The 2 of Wands. Wow, Wands much? It's like we start off with a lot of fire and we come down just taking away fire bit by bit. So maybe my ancestors expected me to be a lot more fiery and maybe a lot more chaotic and yeah, a lot more fiery than I am, maybe. The 5 of Wands, how I'm disgracing them, I almost feel like I'm very conflict avoidant. And I don't know if my ancestors expected me to have more wands, you know, more weapons, more defenses. But I'm pretty conflict avoidant. So when I see this 5 of Wands, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not competitive. I like to avoid conflict when I can. I like to try to mediate when I can as well, but I really don't like conflict. And the 2 of Wands, what's the takeaway here? What is the takeaway? I see a big old globe trying to squeeze their way into this small door. What I'm seeing here is this person looking at this globe, looking at this big world, for some reason feels like a nudge for me to actually learn more about my ancestors and my family in history like this. It feels like a nudge for me to actually look at these things and acknowledge them and learn about them instead of keeping myself ignorant. I know that's not really a conventional take on the 2 of Wands, since Wands is more about action than thought, but you know, surface level reading, kind of a joke, lighthearted reading. That's the takeaway I'm getting from this. Like, they take the time to learn about and understand where they were coming from. So that's an example joke reading about our ancestors. And the last prompt is Illuminating Past Lives. And the card I chose for this reading, for this prompt, is the Judgment card. There's an idea, there's a theme of like awakening, letting go of things, being ready to take your last test before you finish off your life. I'll admit, the idea of past lives is also not something that I really believe in or connect with too much, but I still really enjoy like the storytelling aspect of it, the creative aspect of it. And actually, I did read up a little bit on past life theory doing research for this prompt as well. Some people believe that you go through many reincarnations and lives because there is some really big cosmic or really big life lesson that you need to integrate and understand fully before you can, I guess, be out of the reincarnation cycle. Although, the way that the Avatar, The Last Airbender show shows the idea of reincarnation, it feels like the Avatar was put on this earth and keeps being reincarnated because there's always a job for the Avatar to do. I guess with those two kind of contrasting ideas of past lives, one is you keep getting reincarnated because you need to keep learning a life lesson, but the other idea is the external need for you to be reincarnated. You keep getting reincarnated because your soul needs to keep doing the work that you're doing on this earth. So a couple of different ideas there on past lives. But yeah, so Judgment, just idea of releasing, renewal, what have you finished or left unfinished. I feel like this was a perfect card for the past lives prompt. So for this reading, first we're going to find the Judgment card. All right. And we're going to flip it over and we're going to spin it around and around until we don't know if it's reversed or upright. And then you're going to stick it back in your deck somewhere so that you don't know if it's reversed or upright. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, Judgment card is in there. Don't know which direction it is. Now I'm going to give the deck just a few shuffles. This is a very chunky deck here. This is the Somnia Tarot, which I've mentioned a few times that I really like to use for past life readings. And I might put up another video explaining or examining or giving examples of how I do past life readings. We're going to look for the Judgment card. Aha. All right, so we're going to pull the card before and after Judgment, just like the other readings. here we're going to imagine one particular past life kind of calling to us, kind of speaking to us. For me, you can see that Judgment came out reversed. If Judgment came out upright, then this past life that's speaking to you felt like that they achieved a life goal in their lifetime. They learned their life lesson. Now, if Judgment is reversed, then this past life felt like one of their life goals was left unfinished when they passed. This is a life lesson that they did not learn enough before they passed. The card before the Judgment card, this represents the nature, the theme of the goal or lesson. And again, if Judgment was upright, then this goal or lesson was achieved. If Judgment is reversed, this goal or lesson has been left unfinished. What goal or lesson did this person go through? And the card after represents a warning from this past life, a mistake that you shouldn't repeat, or a personality trait that you need to keep in check. So let's see. Judgment reversed means that this past life did not fully finish or learn their life lesson. What is that life lesson? The Eight of Cups. Perhaps they were unable to detach from things, to be able to give closure to things. I see a very clean separation from the cups here in this person leaving their boat. It reminds me of an Avatar: The Last Airbender when Aang, the Avatar, the main character, was told to let go of his earthly attachments. And at first he had trouble letting go of attachment to the girl that he was really in love with. And I know that this is a theme of Buddhism as well. You have to be able to detach from things, which is a lot easier said than done. Yeah, I think that this was a life lesson that this person, this past life, just did not sufficiently learn to be able to detach from things. Maybe they had too many worldly attachments. What is the warning that this past life wants to tell me, wants to pass on to me? Page of Coins. Wow, this definitely feels like material attachments here. I see them holding a coin, and I see that this shovel makes it feel like they really dug a lot to find this coin. And of course, it's subjective. Maybe this person is burying this coin, but for me, the first thing that came to mind was them finding this coin. And it feels like they've put in a lot of work into just finding it. So maybe the attachment that I need to be mindful of is being attached to my work, being attached to my material things, being attached to things that no longer serve me only because I feel like I put too much effort, I put too much money investment or time, energy investment into them. Wow, that's pretty poignant. I do definitely fear like it's hard for me to declutter things. Like for example, right now with my yarn, there is a lot of yarn that I want to get rid of, but I also have trouble actually getting rid of them because it feels like, well, I spent so much money on this yarn, I should keep it. Or I spent so many years like really enjoying yarn. How could I just sell it now? What if I still might get back into it in the future? So yeah, definitely having trouble letting go of these attachments that I feel like I've invested a lot into. Good lesson, good mistake. Maybe I don't want to repeat that. So that's a sample reading about my past life with the Judgment card. And now let's go on to the joke reading here. So let's see. For this one, we're going to need the Judgment card back in the deck. So I'm just going to stick that back in somewhere. There's a couple of joke readings for this prompt here. So for the first joke reading, this is a reference to the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. And if you're unfamiliar with the show, I'm referencing a plot point or a world building aspect of the show where the current avatar, the current like main character, they have the ability to connect with their past lives. All of the past reincarnations and reiterations of the avatar, they are able to call upon them for wisdom. And I think that's such a great representation of what past lives might feel like. Maybe you have learned your lesson or fulfilled your goal in one avatar's life. And as the avatar is reincarnated, they have to learn these life lessons again, but in a different aspect because the world is different, the times are different, and their personality is different. So Avatar, surprisingly a great reference for past lives for me. For this first reading, very open-ended, imagine your past lives being able to speak to you or connect with you, just like an avatar, or at least being able to observe you from the ether. So we're going to draw as many cards as we want. I'm going to do 3, and each card represents a different past life here. So that's 1. Let's see. What's this other past life thinking? And this one. All right. Each card in this reading will represent what a different past life is thinking as they're watching you now. Maybe what they're hoping for, maybe what they're judging you for. So these are very, very broad prompts, so definitely please exercise your creativity in this way. One of my past lives is looking at me and thinking or feeling the 4 of Wands. One of my past lives is looking at me now and thinking or feeling the Ace of Swords. And one of my past lives is looking at me and looking at this, feeling this 2 of Coins energy. Maybe one of my past reincarnations is watching me now from the ether, wherever, however the ether is. Maybe they're happy with what I'm doing. Maybe they'd like to get to know me in person if if they could. Maybe they want to have dinner with me sometime. Someone else is looking at me. I almost feel a certain energy from here that feels kind of like, I will do this so much better. There's a certain kind of defiance that I feel from this card. Like this person, this figure just cutting open the chest, breaking open the chest, determined to fight their own way forward. So maybe some past life is out there thinking like, I could do this so much better than Sarah is doing right now. And this other past life, what are they thinking looking at me? Maybe they're judging me for not balancing my priorities enough. Being like, girl, you're being very precarious right now. You got a lot going on and your prioritizing abilities are a little bit whack sometimes, but maybe I respect that. I mean, I hope they respect that. So that's an example joke reading for the past life prompt. And one more other joke reading for the past life prompt. This one is a little bit easier, or I don't know, up to you what you think this is. So we're going to find the 2 cards in the deck. We're going to find the Judgment and the World cards. So let's do that. Let's see. Judgment and the World. Aha, so here's Judgment. Set that aside, and we're going to find the World card. Move up front. Aha, here is the World. Okay, so I'm going to put that on top right there. The amount of cards in between the Judgment and the World card, these are things that you need to work through or banish before you can complete your journey in this life. Wow, look at this. Actually, it looks like I've got about a third of the deck. How many cards is this? 28 cards. So in this joke reading, I supposedly have 28 more cards, more life lessons to learn before I can hopefully ascend or become enlightened and maybe not get reincarnated into more suffering. In the witchy surfer that I'm in, people are taking this so creatively. They're even writing stories, little snippets about what these life lessons might be. People are writing stories about what these life lessons are that we've already been through in these other cards. Someone is doing a project where they're literally going through all 78 cards and reading each card as a different past life and what they're going through. Oh my gosh, this is so creative. You know, I'm so in awe by how many people are enjoying this past life prompt, and people are just really running with it and getting so many ideas and using so much creativity from this. Imagine this, right? And I don't doubt it either. I'm young and I know I have a lot of things to learn still in this life before I'm ready to save the world. Just kidding. But yeah, so that is the second joke reading for the Judgment, or sorry, the past lives prompt. So there you have it. Those are the 4 Beyond the Veil themed tarot readings, tarot prompts that I developed for this event, and again, that I'm sharing with you here on YouTube. What did you think? Did you have a favorite topic that really spoke to you, or that you feel like you learned more about, or that you feel like just really exercise your creative freedom? If you happen to do these readings on your own, or even on video, or in the comments, I would love to hear about it. You know, I just love sharing spreads and readings on camera, and I'm always very curious to see how other people do their tarot. I wonder if I can develop other themes or sets of prompts in the future, like maybe an elemental theme, maybe some zodiac themed spreads. Yeah, that would be really fun. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye!